think it's having a plan with golf when things punch you in the face.
Are they watching me every time I'm doing this and thinking, like, who do you think you are?
If they are quick to judge others, they will naturally fear judgment far more.
I actually think KFC gravy should be available across all takeaways.
This is the Birdie Golf Club Podcast.
Welcome to the Birdie Golf Club Podcast. And if you enjoy honest conversations around some of the most fascinating people in the world of golf, then this is the place to be. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to not miss an episode and be part of this amazing community.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Birdie Golf Club Podcast. You've heard me say that 91 times now as we approach our 100th episode. So thanks all again for joining. And this week, we've got a fantastic guest. We've got Laura Scott, who is, I'll let you explain your exact title, Laura, as an introduction to you. Can you please do that for us?
Great pass. Yes, so I'm a mental performance coach for golfers.
There it
you want
is.
me to expand on that as well? What that is?
Please expand.
Right. So essentially, I help golfers play better by having a better mental game. Okay, so help them think better on the course, help them manage emotions, everything but not the swing, essentially.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, where did that, I think we've got to go right back. That's what I normally like to do with guests, Laura, is go right back to your first introduction. And I think it would be better to phrase it to sports, really, because I know you played multiple sports growing up. When did that all start? What's your earliest memories of that?
Oh, earliest memories. Probably kicking a football around at age 5, I think, on the garden. Earliest memories. But yeah, so I was really, really sporty. One of those that picked sport up quite quickly. I got into football massively and competitive swimming. Fell into javelin, athletics. Probably if anybody's done athletics, maybe a similar story. Could throw a tennis ball, so a PE teacher put a sharp stick in my hand, and the rest was history for a good few years. So I've represented England with that.
Wow.
But yeah, so very sporty. I did try golf at age 13. I actually went on we were just talking about this, a summer camp as a kid, when the parents are like, where can you go? Where can you go?
That's what I just said. This week, my daughter I said to my wife, where can I send her?
Mm-hmm.
Which in reality, there was nowhere. She's still here. She's still with us.
That's good to know that she's
Yeah.
not. So yeah, and I could swing it. I was told that I'd got quite a natural swing. Dad bought me a set of clubs optimistically, and then I was just so angry. I threw clubs. I had paddies. I mean, I couldn't do it because of all of that. So didn't carry on, and then picked it back up in my, I would say, late 20s, very late 20s, and pretty much same thing happened. Got quite good quite quickly, and then got angry. So hence I needed to do some work on myself. Went down the mental game route, realised that I'm not on my own with this stuff, and just continued from there. So that's kind of how we end up where we're at.
Absolutely. And, I mean, javelin's a very unique thing. I mean, I once had a javelin in my hand and I hit myself in the back of the head with it. Fortunately, not the pointy part, the back of the javelin. Because I'd seen the twist and rotate, and I twisted but then didn't rotate. So just basically sort of clumped myself in the back of the head with it, which all my schoolmates really enjoyed. They thought that was very funny. Did you find, I mean, was there transferable skills with that, or was it more of a case of just athleticism in general? when it came to golf. Is there a correlation between javelin and golf?
I thought there might be when I first started playing. It turns out that coming over the top is a great correlation between throwing the javelin and golf. So that is my.
So was I too shallow? Was that what was happening? Was I in fact
I'm trying to
getting it
picture
sort of
how you. Yeah, I'm trying to picture how you managed to do that. Like where your arm must have been, and I'm struggling. Maybe we'll get you a javelin, and we'll get you to try and reenact
maybe
that.
maybe
I guess it's not something that I've thought, oh, javelin's really helping with this. I mean, there's obviously the hip turn and that power there, but in a very different way, because javelin you're coming over the top, like with your shoulder, and golf you're absolutely not. I think in terms of like pre-shot routine and the prep, the measuring out, they're doing the same steps every time. It's very structured in a way that you could perhaps translate to golf. But, fetching something, throwing something, getting rid of something and then going and fetching it, that's kind of like, golf.
true.
Could get a dog, rather than fetch a stick and, throw it and fetch it. But yeah, not huge synergies, I wouldn't say.
Okay.
Personally.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I was just interested to see if there was, but in fact, over the top. I suppose the competitive side of it, though, sort of carries over to any sport. But I know you were saying that essentially the competitive side of it probably has at some points has held you back a little bit when it comes to golf, and that's kind of where you spotted the frailties perhaps of your competitiveness and how it can affect out on the golf course. Yeah
I think golf has a way of highlighting things that you can get away with in other walks of life, other sports. You can beat yourself up at work and still do well, take yourself away, have a quiet word. You've got teammates around you a lot of the time that can bring you back up, and you've often got time to recompose yourself. You're in the moment with golf all the time, so if you are beating yourself up, if you are constantly looking for the negatives and not really noticing the positives, all of this stuff in golf, it's just smacks you in the face. So, and I think it's having a plan with golf when things punch you in the face. I had a session actually earlier that I thought it was quite good, and it's a player who's sort of 2 months in, has been doing really well with some of the techniques that we've been working on, and he had a bit of a he's had a bit of a moment the last couple of rounds. Went on holiday, came back, had a big snap hook, like with multiple hooks, kind of snap hook central.
I hear you, brother. I hear you. This sounds just like me. Come on.
Which is
that's good.
and it came out of the blue, and we were talking, and I think he said a Mike Tyson quote, everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face. And I said, okay, so let's plan for getting punched in the face, when you can't really understand what's going on. You're getting this huge miss that is absolutely tearing your scores, tearing your round apart, and it can become quite anxiety inducing, like, what's going to happen next. So I've gone off tangent there. Sorry, it's just in the moment.
No, this is all resonating too much with me, if I'm totally honest.
Okay.
The snap hook. Yeah, this is, I'm living this guy's life. Please carry on.
Oh, well, that's it. I mean, we between us, we devised a plan for when he gets punched in the face, and what that could look like, and how it's interesting. And reel me back in if I kind of go off on one. He's working with a swing coach that I know quite well, excellent swing coach, and so the big snap hook came out, had a lesson with his swing coach. We'd already got a session in the diary. Swing coach noticed some parts that were going on in terms of not rotating, not turning, And, then when we're speaking, it's, okay, that's great. So that's the technical element, which I wouldn't be able to see or to add value on. So let's talk about now how the mental game is impacting that too. Because, and we talked about things like tension. So if you're holding, where do you hold tension when you're stressed? Where do you hold tension when you're stressed? Do you know which part of your body?
I mean, is it different for everyone, or is it the same generally?
I think it's different for everybody, and a lot of people, when I ask that question, they're not really aware where they hold tension.
Would it be the place where you get injured the most? Would that be right?
It could be. It could be. I mean, this is,
Lower
I think,
back.
the big thing with the lower. Okay, all right. And as I say, it could be. I mean, a lot of the mental game stuff and improving your mental game is becoming aware of something first. So, when I asked him, the player, earlier about that, he sort of took a moment and thought, and for him, it's more his shoulders, and he could sort of sense that his body language gets quite, shoulders forward, hunched back, hunched forwards at work when he's stressed. And so that was then an easy, kind of, not an easy, but quite logical as to why then he can't turn he's not turning his swing. So he's done one snap hook. He's then getting quite stressed, quite anxious, quite tense about, oh God, don't do that again. Like, where's that come from? His shoulders come forward. He tenses up. And essentially, if you've ever tried to push your shoulders forward and rotate your body, it is nigh on impossible. The movement that you just can't rotate. So for him, he's got that information from his swing coach. We then talk about what you could do in his pre-shot routine to bring his shoulders back. You'll have seen Matt
That's who came to mind.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
And him.
And him, all of those ones. And they're all doing intricate things in their pre-shot. Matt puts his shoulders back. I don't know specifically why he does that, but it may be something around that. And I think this is where it gets very individual, that yes, you can go to a swing coach and you can get that understanding, but this is where then the mental game can come in and complement, because now this player has that awareness that actually that could be a huge part of why he's then creating those on a golf course. And if he knows that, then we can start working in intricacies with his pre-shot routine, whereby he has these sort of relaxation methods and small things that he's doing on a repeatable way. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean,
No, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I mean, I'm off on a different tangent myself now. I think with that, so say someone gets that prescription of what to do. Do you find the biggest friction point comes from then? Say this guy then implements that and he starts doing the Matt Fitzpatrick, the roll of the shoulders before he plays, and he goes out by himself and he plays really well doing that. But then he goes out for a round with his mates and he stands there and he rolls his shoulders before, and no doubt there's a few comments about it, and it's just mates being mates. It's no, but plays on his mind, and then he gets out of the routine of doing it. Because I think as golfers generally, we all want to be that guy who hasn't played for 2 years, rocks up really casually with an old set of clubs and shoots 2 over par, no worries, no practice swings, does whatever he wants, and still is a great golfer. I think everyone envisions that sort of like as being like, oh, that's awesome, I really want to do that. So then all these little things that they can do, which can have a huge impact on their game, they sort of push out because of their idealistic view of who they want to be. Do you think that's a thing? Because I know it is for me.
I mean, immediately what comes to mind is lads. That's
Yeah.
what's coming to mind. I mean, look, it depends. Some of that is ego, I guess, and again, what your interpretation of the utopian player that you want to be. That's not how I personally would see it. So, but I'm not a bloke, and I don't have the ego of a bloke. I probably don't have the friendship dynamics of a bloke.
Oh, it's brutal out there, Laura. It's brutal. It really is. And I'm part of it. I definitely would. If I saw a mate doing this, I'd be like, oh, oh, Matt Fitzpatrick over there. And that's pathetic, isn't it? Because if that helps someone play, I tell you why. My personal experience is one of my flaws, which my coach James Sharp pulled out from, is that I have a tendency to let my left shoulder go low as the first move in the golf swing. So he said to me, we just need that left shoulder to stay a little bit higher and rotate around, because then you're not creating loads of different angles, and it's much easier to get back to compressing the golf ball back to where you started. And he's like, you've really got to work out how to do that yourself. Like, I can give you some drills, but no one's going to work it out better than you, of like what sort of pre-shot routine gets you in the right space of keeping that left shoulder high, because it's an ingrained habit now for it to drop low. And I came up with this thing that I was at the range and I was hitting balls and I was really trying to work on it, and I took the club back and I noticed the left shoulder low. So then I'd sort of do this and then go back to set. And by doing that, my left shoulder stayed high throughout the golf swing, was more consistent with the ball. And then no one said anything. No one said anything in particular, but they did sort of talk about it. Like the first time I started implementing it, it was like, oh, that's new. And I was like, yeah, it just helps me keep my left shoulder high. And then it just, even that, it's really pathetic, isn't it? But even that little comment alone was just like, then it was in my head of like, oh, are they watching me every time I'm doing this and thinking like, who do you think you are to have this as part? You look ridiculous. And then since then, I've not done it, and I've definitely noticed a slow decline in my game because of it, or at least consistency because of it. And now I'm like, I've got to bring it back, but then those thoughts are still there. It is a male-dominated sport. Do you find a lot of the time that when you have male clients, that those sort of things are coming into play when it comes to the mental side of the game, the sort of dynamics of golf, because they are different to other sports?
I have a lot of clients that won't tell anybody they're working with a mental performance coach. Amateurs, really? Juniors are quite open with it. Like the elite juniors, for example, the elite players, international amateurs, they're all quite open. It's kind of part and parcel. But the amateurs, a lot of them like to keep it quiet, which isn't great for like referrals and recommendations, if I'm honest. But I understand. I understand. Sometimes it's like, just a backwards, somebody a friend of a friend use this, yeah. And she was great.
They see you in Morrison's and they're like,
yeah, and then the wife asks questions, and it's just that didn't need to be that, okay? Just say hello. Anyway, that could take a weird tangent of the conversation, couldn't it? I don't know. I mean, I like to encourage a player to do what they feel comfortable to do. I may give them this will be the most effective way. But I talk quite a lot about self-talk. Self-talk is massive in what you're doing. Self-talk meaning, anything you're saying to yourself out loud or in your head, your thoughts. These are things that you can control, and there isn't much on the golf course you can control. So one of the examples I will always give a player is it's quite hard to outthink a thought, right? So you can't control unhelpful thoughts coming in. They just naturally will. But if you're then trying to outthink a particularly unhelpful thought, that's quite hard. Imagine you and I were having an argument. Inevitably, one of us would start speaking more loudly to be heard, right? To win the argument. And then, so sometimes when you get an unhelpful thought that pops in, it can be the quickest remedy for that is to, yes, acknowledge it, but say something out loud that is helpful, because it's a louder voice that, essentially you're hearing. I'm not saying scream it to all, but when I say things like this, I can see that there is a reluctance for some players, probably more so men, if we're going to generalize, to do that because of the banter that may come their way. So, I don't think it's an absolute deal breaker. I mean, in terms of the shoulder thing that you're doing, I guess there is a time and place for everything, and it depends what your version of success is for that day. If I was going out on a boozy scramble charity day, would I be looking at, making process goals and specifically doing my pre-shot routine to the T? Probably not after a few beers, because my version of success for that day is probably to have a laugh. If you're going out with your mates and you're playing in, the weekly medal, and it does matter, well, there's a consideration that stuff them. They're going to form opinions whatever you do. So if you're doing something that's going to help you play better, own it. Do it anyway. It comes back to that whole, I think we discussed this off camera, where fear of judgment often stems from believing something about ourselves. So if you think you look daft, and you will do if you're giving people bants about doing similar things, of course you're going to fear their judgment, because you're being a judgy pants, aren't you? Right? So there's an argument to say, if you stop being a judgy pants to everybody, then you probably won't fear the judgment back.
I hear you. I probably won't change, but you're absolutely right. No, I've seen on your Instagram as well, Laura. There was a great post that you did about, forgive me if I get the wording wrong, but essentially sort of lightening the load on yourself as far as and I think we've spoken about this before, with expectation management when you go out there, and sort of almost reframing what even good golf is to you, whether that's based on just the enjoyment of the round and things like that. Is that something that generally with most clients you'll talk about, of just try and go out there and just enjoy the game of golf?
Yeah, I mean, as an overview, yeah, I think I always try and be quite specific with players, because I think, you could probably go and read a book or see a quote that probably says that, but a lot of the time, a lot of players come to me because they've got information. They know that they should, I don't like that word, but they know they should go out and enjoy it, but they don't know how to. So yeah, a lot of the time it will be, I would always encourage a player to go out with a version of success that has nothing to do with the score, and almost get away from the score, so that you can't control your score. Okay, you can control whether you have conversation, whether you find out some new things about someone you're playing with. I mean, they're both quite soft things, but you can essentially, even if it's just my version of success today is to have some headspace, and again, this comes back to, you can set process goals. It depends at what level you're competing, what you want from that round. If you still want to compete well in that round and it's not just about having a laugh, then it comes down to what processes that I can fully control can I actually know that I've come off the back of a round being successful, and rewarding based on that. I'm a big fan of, if you hit your process goals for that day, go reward yourself. Go get a cheeky takeaway. I was going to say some brands there, but go get a cheeky takeaway.
Go for it. Name a brand. Go for it. What's the specific takeaway of choice?
Well, I was going to say KFC. I mean, I don't eat KFC that much, but I do remember a time
but it was the first one that came to mind.
It was, and I'll tell you why. Because when I first started doing this for my own game and first started playing around with process goals, that is the treat that I would give myself. And I distinctly remember it was always on the 12th hole, where I was doing quite well with my processes, that my attention used to drift to
the
can't wait to have KFC, and inevitably the 12th hole would go down the pan. So I think maybe put it to the back of your mind if it's.
What would be the? I mean, what from the menu specifically was it that would make you drift away? Out of interest.
I just like all of it. I just think there was the chicken. I don't really eat it now. I've got a problem with KFC since having a child. I can't seem to stomach it as well. But yeah, it was just, where I want to say finger licking good on a podcast, but I've just said it. So it's out there, isn't it?
You may have already seen from the wonderful display behind me that I have partnered with Painter as the official footwear sponsor of the Birdie Golf Club podcast, and I am so happy to have done that. Painter golf shoes are incredibly comfortable, first and foremost. Take it from me, I am fussy, and I've got funny feet as well. And the Painter golf shoes fit me perfectly and are extremely comfortable, but also they are just full of tech to be able to empower you to play the best golf possible. Painter believe in walking the course, and as somebody that enjoys conversations, enjoys the environment of golf, walking the course is the best way to do that, and you get to fully experience golf as it was intended. You can't do that if you're not in comfortable footwear. Painter are giving you the ability to do that week in, week out, round in, round out. So head over to paintergolf.co.uk and make sure to use the code Birdie Golf Club Podcast, and that will get you 15% off these selected collections, and they're one of the best collections available anyway. Speed Classic, the Jason Day inspired and helped create golf shoe. The Sport Classic and the Reserve Classic, inspired and helped by Min Woo Lee. Head over to paintergolf.co.uk, get yourself the best golf shoes in the game and look incredible whilst you do it, so you can go on and walk the course. Yeah, my kids and my wife really like KFC. I'm indifferent. The gravy's great. Like, the gravy is elite. I think it can go with it. I think you could have any. I actually think KFC gravy should be available across all takeaways as an option. I think they should. What's that? What would the word be? Where it sort of becomes kind of, yeah. They should franchise it out to McDonald's and to anywhere that will have it, because I think it suits any meal. But the chicken is okay. It wouldn't be my. I was a big kebab person, but as I get older, my body just can't take the level of fat that you're trying to take in. I just struggle in a big way. I've had to really move past that, which has been difficult. So I do like the reward though. The reward is good, and even I guess if that's like, I suppose, yeah, it's difficult with golfers, isn't it? Because I think, like you were saying, so just to bring it back to what you were actually saying, rather than sort of me going off in tangents and thinking what I'd like to eat and drink. There's so many variables in the game of golf, and obviously golf score being one of them, and you can't really control your golf score. But what you can control is how you approach that day and what goals you set yourselves and whether or not they're actually achievable. I had this problem, and still sort of do now, where I sort of go out, and even if I go out to try and enjoy the round, I sort of still set these goals of like, make sure everyone's having a good time. Make sure this is happening, but that's happening. It's all very, even all those things that I'm setting are difficult to achieve because they're kind of out of my control. And I think that's just a problem that I have, is probably a control thing, maybe, as well. But I do find that across the board, you really see the difference in golfers that have come to peace with the fact that golf score isn't controllable. My enjoyment on this day can be. Do you find that there is a difference between the male and female clients that you've got, as far as like what they need you specifically for, or is the correlation just always there and always the same?
I think similar opportunities. They might present slightly differently, and again, it depends on the level. But if we talk about sort of club amateurs, ladies, a lot of them will want to talk about confidence, and concentration for a lot. With the men, it's often managing emotions, but there's always crossover. I mean, that is just a real broad generalization, I think. Anxiety again, or nervousness, pressure is across the board. It really is, and all of that. You know, I think one of the biggest thing is that we feel the unhelpful pressure when we attach meaning to something. So if you're attaching meaning to a score, you know, what does that score say about you? If you're attaching meaning to a shot, good shot versus bad shot, what does a bad shot say about you? You know, it's all right to think stock answer, well, you know, it's just a golf shot. But in the moment, when that unhelpful pressure hits and the anxiety hits and, you know, you're shaking arms, you know, I would encourage you to look at actually, well, what meaning are you putting on this first tee? You know, when there's everyone watching on the balcony. You know, and it for some people, you know, if they are quick to judge others, they will naturally fear judgment far more than those who are curious about a situation. I'm looking at you.
You're smiling because you essentially I am the person that you're talking about. I actually think it would be quite fun, Laura, to maybe use me as a bit of a case study.
Okay.
At the moment. So currently I sit now. I don't have a England golf handicap. To be honest, the way that is set up, I find for me kind of obsolete. Like the idea that I've got to get someone to sign off and all this stuff. Like when I get away from the golf course, generally I don't have a lot of time to start sitting around and doing things. And when I'm there, I don't want to start being like, oh, excuse me, can you make sure that you sign off on my round and blah, blah, blah. So what I've been doing is I use Golf Gamebook, and they have like the handicap on there, and it gets more accurate as it goes on. And that's good enough for me. I'm not looking to enter a lot of comps or anything like that. So I think currently I'm sitting at like 7.4, something like that at this moment in time. My low round of the year was going straight to score. You notice that? Not enjoyment, just score. That's the most important thing, Laura. Okay, all right. It's golf score. Okay.
Yep.
So I think like low round was a 77, and then probably the highest round of the year has probably been like a late 80s, something like that, like a 88 something. I was playing really good golf as of probably about a month and a half ago, and then I haven't been able to practice much. Went out by myself the other day and just had an absolute shocker. I actually said we've lost golf, is the words I said, because of the conditions of the golf course at this moment in time. And I found it incredibly frustrating. I was losing golf balls that were landing in the middle of the fairway. Duck hook was coming into play, so that my feelings go out to our fallen friend, our fallen brother from earlier on, with the pull hook that I had in play. And I'm just sort of at this point, and you're at a similar level of goal. You say 8 at the moment you're at?
Yeah.
Where I feel like I should be a lot better than some of the scores that I'm putting in. When I put in like a mid-80s, I'm just constantly assessing like where I went wrong that day. I had a round where it was 81. I shot an 81 and I had 6 birdies on the card. I birdied a third of the golf course, but then had these blow-up holes where I just felt like golf wasn't being fair to me. Now, judging me a little bit on the fact that, you know, I am sort of almost hyper aware of what others might be thinking about me because of probably what I'm looking for the funny. Like I'm looking for the funny out there. You know, if someone does something funny, I'm gonna say it. I can't help myself. I'm gonna say it. I wish I could stop, but it just comes out. Where would you say it would be good for me to put like my focus on to help me mentally out there, push aside the score, I guess, but also mentally out there be less bothered, I guess, would be a good way of putting it, of the environment that's there, the social dynamics. I think that's how I put it before, the social dynamics of golf as well.
Mhm.
What would be your prescription?
Prescription. Can I just ask about the blow up holes? Like,
Please.
how did they, how did they blow up? Like, snippets of, let's say one undesirable shot, one spicy shot leading to.
The hole that really sticks out to me, okay. I played Manning's Heath. Do you know Manning's Heath golf course?
I know of it.
Yeah, so the waterfall course, beautiful course, love it, love playing there. There is a par 5. I think, I don't know what hole it is, so I lose count. And I hit a great drive, really great drive, and left myself probably like 200 yards in, I think, something like that. It's quite a long par 5, but it was really hot. It was the day where it was 35 degrees. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll hit my next shot. Hit the next shot. I hit the one tree branch that was just, it wasn't even in my equations, and just hit it, and it fell down. I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, I can take that. I hit a good shot. I just got a bit unlucky. So this was all good at this point. We're doing great. Get up to the next ball, and I had 170 yards in. And I was like, it's really warm. The ball's going a long way, and I'm sitting on a bit of a flyer lie. So I'm going to take what did I take? A 9-iron, I think. And was just like, if it flies, absolutely fine. I hit this shot. It was going right at the pin. And I was thinking, sweet, this is going to be a great birdie. Worst case par, but this is going to be really good. And literally, it landed 30 yards past the pin in the woods, gone. So that 9-iron has literally gone like 200 yards. Now, it was ridiculously hot that day, so I think the ball was just going a really long way, and it was on a bit of a flyer. And to be honest, after that, I just felt really hard done by. I felt like the golf course had done me in. I felt like I hit 3 really good shots, and now I'm staring at a double in the face. And I ended up tripling that hole because my head just went. Wasn't even in that bad a position where I had to drop. Like, it was very up and downable, but I think that's probably the feeling that I get the most, is that it's just not fair, which sounds really pathetic. But I feel like that probably is true of a lot of people as well with golf, because of all the variables.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can resonate with that. And I think sometimes it's really, and I always ask players to do this. It's one of the activities when they go through a coaching journey to basically establish what are your core values as a person, as a human. Right? What are your core values? Because fairness is a core value of quite a lot of people, and it's a great core value to have until you expect fairness from places where it ain't fair. Like, it's not
a law. Yeah.
The golf course doesn't owe you anything. In those moments, you owe yourself something, to give yourself the praise, the compassion, for executing great shots, with the understanding that, that's all you're going to get. You're not going to get fairness from a golf course. Arguably similarly, you're not going to get fairness from life all the time. And, without going too deep, that can, getting to a point where you're aware that that is one of your values, and that it isn't helpful in every situation, you can start using things like, mantras, just to remind yourself of that, and then to refocus helpful thoughts. Because essentially what you're doing there is you're wasting a lot of mental energy and emotion on something that you haven't got any control of. It's not going to change. Crack on. So coming back to, what was your original question before I asked that? What piece of advice would I give you to?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, if like, I think because of where I'm sitting handicap wise, expectation of score and like where like I said, that round 6 birdies, I'm like, I should be shooting minimum level par today. Like that would be a not great third of the golf course that I've played, but because of like ceiling of expectation, I then get in this situation that even when I'm playing really well, I then feel like I just have 4 or 5 holes where it's just my head's gone.
Yeah. So if we think about, you talked about ego a little bit earlier, just generally with generalizing some men how they might see things, and it is a generalization because absolutely not all players are like that. But if the meaning you've attached to a score is that you are a better golfer or you are a better person, if you're attaching some of your identity and self-worth to putting in a good score, then any bit of unfairness, this course has wronged me, it's made me look like I'm not the man that I should be. And I mean, I absolutely despise the word should. I really, really detest it. It's just,
I probably said it loads just then as well, didn't I?
I mean, I was, just anybody who I've coached or come into contact with will probably be smiling at this, because the word should, double-edged sword really, in that number one, we're putting expectations on something. I should have got a better outcome from that shot. Who said that? Yeah, you could have got a better outcome from that shot because it was a great shot. You didn't. Move on. Okay. I should have hold that putt is a different way, where if I should have hold that putt. Shame. And 9 times out of 10 you will hold that particular putt, but saying, no, I should have hold it, it's just a way of beating yourself up. You could have hold it. You will hold those putts 9 times out of 10. But yeah, should is a word that gets used so much, and a lot of the time people who are using that word will have a tendency to beat themselves up or get very entwined in expectations, which will lead very quickly to frustration. So for you, if we use you as a case study, I would probably say, have a quiet moment with yourself and actually ask yourself what does a bad score say about you?
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that resonates in the sense of I know when I probably enjoy myself the most on a golf course, and it's difficult, right? Because correlation between score and enjoyment is kind of always going to be there a little bit, because let's face it, we all enjoy playing really good golf, don't we? Like that's enjoyable. We're playing a sport, and if you're playing it well at that moment in time, it's clearly going to be more enjoyable. But I know that when I did have a really good 9 holes, I literally detached myself from score, from result based sort of like outcomes, and just tried to really enjoy myself. I was just like, you know what, I've got 9 holes ahead of me here. I just want to really enjoy the golf course, play it a little bit differently, and just play the game. And I probably did have bad kicks and all those sort of things happen. But I know, like we were talking about before, I then use those moments as like, oh, let's see if I can do this now. And that's where I enjoyed it the most. I think the pressure builds when you, like you said then, when you attach like some type of ego or some type of this is how I look because of this. And I think there probably is a direct correlation between handicap and the lower it gets, the more of that gets weighed on you as well, right? Because I feel like if you're probably playing to a certain level, is a little bit more about sort of the enjoyment factor on it. When you get a little bit lower, you sort of then like, oh, I really need to get to this, and the bigger, like we know, there's more of a input that has to happen to get from a certain handicap to say scratch, and the improvements start to slow down as well, and that can be like a frustrating time.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say there's a bigger correlation between people who suddenly decide to put more effort into getting better, because again, it comes back to I'm practicing more, therefore I should be scoring better. I deserve to to be playing better. I put all of this time in. I should be, better, because I see it with elite juniors quite often that they will fly down. I've got a few actually at the moment, they who have flown down. We're talking from I don't know, like 6, 7 handicap down to scratch and plus in a season, as juniors.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, I'm a scratch golfer now. Everybody's looking at me like I've got to do well. I've almost got to prove that I am this good. And they've got so much proof. And guess what happens with their handicap? Because again, they've now, where they didn't attach any meaning to it, they now attach that meaning to it. And it's interesting. We could talk about this all day, but off the first tee and you stick it on another fairway, you could say your meaning you attach to that is, everybody's going to think I'm rubbish. This is going to be an awful round now. I've lost my driver today. All these meanings. The meaning is you're playing your next shot from that bit of grass. That's the only meaning that would be helpful to be at. Sounds so easy, doesn't it? But this is where we come from with the mental game, is that having the awareness and then having the tools to actually self-coach in those moments, and detach yourself from the results. And there's an abundance of things you can do and tools you can pull out. But yeah, it's just anybody that's listening, like if you are dealing with a lot of pressure at the moment, if you're getting in your head and you're just not sure why you can't put a result out, just ask yourself that one question: what meaning are you attaching to a bad shot or a bad score? And if you can separate that meaning, if it is proving unhelpful, then that's a really good place to start.
Golf is just hitting a load of shots and adding them up at the end of the day. Like, that's not going to change whether you decide to shoot 100 of them or whether you shoot 70 of them. So yeah, I think that's awesome, Laura. Laura, where can everyone find you? What are the handles, if you will?
I mean, yeah, I'm probably not going to give you my home address. That's probably not what we do.
Yeah. When I say find, I don't mean not stalk. We're not looking for stalkers here. We're just looking for followers, ideally. But again, followers in the sense of a social media sense, not sort of dressed all in black, sort of following.
Yeah,
that's not what we're looking
I'm just really glad that
Go
you
ahead,
put that
Laura.
out there. Felt like it needed clarification.
Good.
Yeah. So on Instagram, Laura Scott Golf is the handle, and then if you Google Laura Scott Golf, generally I'll pop up. But www.laurascottgolf.com is where you can find me. You can book free consultation if you're interested in one-to-one coaching, or just a chat, find out what it's about. Then that's the route.
Awesome. Thanks, Laura. And look, I think we both discussed neither of us watched the golf this weekend, so we would love to update you, but we both don't really care enough, and that is a whole separate issue with the game of golf in general at the moment. There's an abundance of riches of watching golf, but none of it's that interesting. Let's be totally honest.
I mean, that's your opinion. I'm not getting involved in that debate. I had some stuff on this weekend that I've not caught up on, but I don't know. Do I care? I should care. Look at me using that word.
Oh, don't use the word should. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. Last words
care.
of a fool. That's another song lyric there.
Right.
But interestingly, had Joe Dean on the podcast last week. He was T9 on DP World Tour in the Danish Open going into the weekend, and he messaged me because I set him the challenge. We spoke about this last week because he said he just needs to be more confident, on the DP World Tour. And one of the things that he used to do is just barely hit any balls on the range before he goes out. But he's allowed this sort of like inner turmoil of I need to hit golf balls and loads because that's what everyone else is kind of doing. Like, I'm rephrasing that, but that's essentially what we got to. So I set him the challenge of 12 golf balls. That's all he could hit on the range before he goes out and play. And he went into the weekend T9, like easily made the cut. The weather conditions got a little bit more tricky as the weekend went on, but I think he still finished T30 something or another. So comfortably made the cut, made the weekend, played some pretty good golf. And I'm not saying thanks to me. Like I'm not saying those words, Laura. Okay, it wasn't
Just
thanks
feels
to
like
me.
you're after a cut, Dave. That's basically what it feels like. Kind of, yeah.
He did say if he won, he'd give me a shout out, and my first thoughts was like, "Oh, shout out's good, yeah, yeah, 10% would be also great." But no, he was awesome to have on. He's one of the most honest professional golfers I've ever had the privilege of speaking to, and it was great to see him have a great weekend. And hopefully the Joe Dean dozen can become a thing, and we'll see him win pretty soon, which will be good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no.
He should.
Do you know,
he should win, Laura.
no, don't. You're putting pressure on his shoulders now.
Yeah, it's fine. He's a great player.
Local to me, but I've not had the pleasure. Not had the pleasure. So yeah, it sounds like a great strategy. It sounds like you've done a bit of coaching there. I think at least 7% is probably where you can
7%.
have those negotiations. Yeah.
All right.
Why not?
Joe, if you're listening, I'll settle for 9 and you can knock me down to 7. We can do that. But no, to be honest, a shout out would just be huge. I would Instagram farm that shout. That shout out would be on everyone's timeline for forever, probably.
Yeah. And so it you've got me shoulding. Right. We need to.
Yeah. We should go now. Thanks, Laura.
Right. Thank you so much for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. Thanks, Laura.